Okay, it says 9, and so let's get started. Call to order, roll call.
We have Arlene Zortman,
Here.
Carrie Snow,
Here.
Jenna Reed,
Here.
Melissa Berry,
Here.
Josh Rinaldi,
Here.
Glenn Pepper,
Here.
and Tom Lee.
Yep.
And then as staff, we have Lauren Selly,
Here.
Kendra Daniels,
Here.
Quincy Williams,
Here.
and Molly O'Donnell should be joining shortly. Harold is going to be absent. He's serving on a panel in Rutland, so is unable to attend this meeting.
Okay. All right. So everybody's read the minutes. I am in the motion to approve.
I'll make that motion, but just real quick, I did say this to the end, but I forgot last time. What really helped me when I was a new board member were some documents that you sent, like a list of the acronyms and sort of so you could get used to the lingo. Hold on, I wrote what else I was looking for. Yeah, like an organizational chart, and I'm not sure if I had the most recent one, I was going to just forward it on. And then it also helped me to get there's a link for the clerk's office board orientation training video. So I just wanted to make sure that, that Josh should have that if you'd like, or me, send it to me.
I'll send it.
I could definitely
I'll
use a
send it to
review and all
all
time. But I just, I was thinking about the new member. I wanted to make sure that happens. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
So I don't get a motion.
Okay, Carrie's made the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Looking around, I see that we have a massive amount of public here today. Okay. We must be doing something right, or at least we're not doing something wrong. I don't know. Organizational updates.
So one new development that has occurred since the last meeting is we have a new website. Would you like to see it?
Oh, sure.
Let's do it.
I couldn't hear that. Could you say that
Oh,
one more
my-
time? It was kind of jumbly.
Oh, I was saying that we have a new website, so Kendra's going to show the website.
Oh, good. I see you looking at me like.
And I'm not looking at anybody, I'm looking at Erica thinking she's pulling it up. So this is the new website. It's interesting. On every single platform, laptop, mobile, it looks different. So this,
In like a
the
good way.
well, in a good way. So this is the first time I've seen where the Longmont Housing Authority has been pushed. So it could be the zoom in. Yeah, it could be the zoom in. So this is what it should look like. But every time I tried to fix something, I was like, oh no, something else wrong. So this is the new website. We kind of wanted to do like, these are all Longmont pictures. Everything Longmont. I did put something, some of the properties in, not all of them. They'll be able to scroll down. They can get to the Housing Choice Voucher Program, properties, and community resources, but you can also get to those at the top. And then you can also get to the announcements. So the announcement page will be here. It has links. If it needs links to go places, it also has our closures. Community Resources has all of the entities that we partner with, whether it's Habitat, Cultivate. It kind of gives a little work, but then these buttons will take you to their website, so you can learn more and get anything that you need to know about these. We also have our resource list. I've added Wild Plum, which is the ECE that is going to be at Ascent, and Meals on Wheels. So any one of these, it'll pull up a new screen, take them to Meals on Wheels, and let them learn about that site.
So that's Meals on Wheels kitchen, right?
Yeah. Longmont Meals on Wheels.
Yeah.
Then you have the Housing Choice Voucher Program. We have both the admin plan, landlords, tenants, utility allowances, and waiting lists that you can get to. You can also get to them from the main page here. We are in the process And they've already started going live with research with tenants. Landlords are able to get online, and we've activated the button to request increases online instead of having to go. So that's now available for landlords. I don't know that they've gotten any yet, but it is live. So if you're a landlord and you have logged into the portal, you should see those where you can see your payments. You can request increases. You can see what's happening with your tenant research, which will also be online. That's kind of been a little. We're having to like push a little to get tenants online, but we're going to set up a location where they don't have the resources and get help to log online if they need to.
So are they able now to pay their rent online?
That's on its way. But I will show you the
Yeah.
property sites here in a sec.
Okay.
So we did also launch, so there's landlords. It'll let you know what our payment standards are, what the utility allowances are. You can reach the housing portal from this page, and you can also visit the very interesting HUD video for the HCB program. It's very old cartoonistic. And it'll give you details about landlords. It'll give the landlord checklist that we previously had on the website. For tenants, it'll tell you what information for the tenants, the family responsibilities, the eligibility requirements, and it is what's really cool about this site is you can make it really user friendly for the mobile. So you should be able to pull it up on your mobile and see the same things in a nice format, and so it's not like all jumbled where you have to zoom in or zoom out. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So that was really nice too. This will allow them, this right here, this button takes them to what properties, what available rentals there might be in Longmont, so they can get to that website as well. Then we come to our properties. I have a page that's eligibility requirements that they can meet up on. Basically 2 times the rent, all the specifications that we require. You can get to the chapter website, which shows the income limits for the current year. Then I just separated. We have Briarwood apartments didn't really fit into any of the platforms of multi-housing, senior housing, or senior living, or supportive housing. So that's on its own. Then you have the multifamily housing. Multifamily housing has Aspen Meadows neighborhood and Ascent, which is coming soon. Right now, Ascent's page does not have the property website, but if you do click on this, you'll get to the Ascent's information. It'll let you know what type of units and what we're targeting, and the Wild Plum Child Care Center that's going in there. Yeah.
This page is really important because as we start to look at marketing for the waitlist opening, which we'll talk about a little bit later when we talk more about Ascent, we're actually going to be directing people to this page to get information. So if you come across anybody in your work or personal life who is interested, this is a great page to send them to. And it's the longmonthousing.org/coming soon is our development page where we'll share more information. And this page will grow before we'll have the go live page once we have applications. It'll have the property page, but this page will continue to exist because it will still have important information about the development and the construction progress until it opens.
And if you click interest list, it'll take you to, add myself, enter your email address and subscribe.
And so this interest list will get people connected to upcoming information about the waitlist opening, information sessions, if we have any additional announcements about the project, and we'll of course point them to the website where that same information will be.
So to give you an idea, so we are currently now live with the first phase of the property websites. Property websites are a third-party website that's with Yardi. And so individuals can now go apply, residents can go to their resident login. That's the first phase of them being able to do their recertifications online. They can also request interim research online, and then we'll move to phase 2, which is the paper piece. But this, like the main site will also get you to multifamily. I do need to add someplace for driveway, and that's what I'm missing here. I just added that first. But if you come to these and you go into them, Zinnia and the suites will be a little different because they're 100% project based, so you have to go through those entities to get on the wait list. But you'll come into their website. Their website will have a home. This leasing information tells you like that leasing's actually closed. You have to reach out to the entities to get on their wait list to be housed here. It will show amenities, what amenities are at the property, what our pet policy is. It'll, for the most of our properties, except for maybe a couple, we were able to find floor plans. So you will also see the floor plans that are outlined. And so all of these one bedroom, but some of them are different, some of them are just on different floors. And then we have everything tied to those. So you can reach those. There's a contact us that'll go straight to the property's email address. You can even create a brochure, which is it'll take all of the information if you wanted to, like even include 3 of them, click submit, and it'll create a brochure specifically for Zinnia that you can print for anybody coming to the front office. And that's what most of them are. I tried to create different sites for different types. So the supportive housing will have a certain website. Senior living has a certain website. They're all the same, but they're just different colors. So that way, both helps property managers know how to maneuver through the website and know where everything is if it's all the same. So that's that, and then we have our careers, which is employment opportunities. We'll start to highlight these as positions come available, and you can click on any one of these positions, or you can join the team and apply, and it will automatically take you to the city's website to apply.
So we actually are full right now. I didn't see anything green on there.
There is not. We're not full, but we're waiting to hear. I think it's in HR's hands, the assistant.
Yes, it's out of mine. I've done mine.
I think it's in HR's hands right now. We're waiting for it to get live because I don't want to highlight that green yet until have people go there and it's not there.
I will check out to see if they push it through.
So we are waiting for that. We have some forms out there. We don't have a whole lot of forms. It sounds like the forms might be growing in the future. Then we have the about. And what might be nice is actually, I don't know if we can do it today, or if you want to do it at the next meeting, is to get a photo of you guys. Because that's the one thing I didn't have. Or maybe you don't want your picture out there. That's the And that's fine. I have a conference room table at the moment. But this will show you get to boards, careers, and news, which is basically news is the announcements, careers, and then on the board page in a sec. I just put management's email address. I figure if somebody's coming to the website, they go to the properties, they can get in touch with the property managers. But if they want to escalate things, they have an opportunity to do that. And then the program contact email. So the HCD program, compliance, vendors have questions with payments, and then just our general mailbox. So that's on the About page. But the About page also has the Longmont Housing Boards, which we have the Board of Commissioners, and then
You guys.
we have you guys. So,
You got a good side
and then when you go to contact, it's automatically going to take you to the main page and take you right to the contact information. And this goes straight to Maria at the LHA. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
It's nice.
It's great. Looks way more functional than it did previously.
Yes, in launching the affordable websites, we needed a new platform because it wasn't very user friendly. I did find out after I built it, that you also have to have accessibility requirements based on laws. So luckily Wix had a tool that it did a scanning for me, and it let me know where I had errors, and it was very easy to fix most of them. There's still a few things, manual processes I have to work through to see it, but for the most part it is accessible. If there's somebody that is blind, they'll scan through this and it'll tell them what the picture is. So very interesting. There's a lesson learned.
That's nice. So I have a question, and this is actually coming from some of the residents, and of course they've been very vocal about this and loud. Some of them are experiencing problems going in and re-upping for the next year or something like that. My understanding was that the property managers would help them if they were really in a, not everybody has to, if they can't do it on the computer, that somebody will help them. Is that correct?
Well, the research just started. Have they been doing it online? No.
They just opened the portal, so I don't know how many people have started that process. They do have, the property managers do have the ability to take it back.
Or can they do that
So-
on paper too?
Well, not to assist. So what happens is if they launch it online and they don't see that it's getting done and they want to come in and fill out paperwork, they can fill out paperwork. The property manager can take it back into their court and then enter all the application information. So yes, I mean, it doesn't have to be online. They're trying to push more of it to online, so for ease, but I know our population, sometimes that might be hard to do.
But we will assist.
Yeah.
If they need help with
And
something.
I was sure that's the way it was working. I just, some people are very vocal.
Even now, we assist them now if they state they need help with
Yeah.
something, or it's getting some type of document or something like that.
I think the majority of them can do it themselves, but the ones that are really vocal.
Yeah, they won't be penalized if they don't want to do it online.
Well, and I welcome feedback because, we can do this as property managers and as an admin, but we don't see what it looks like or feels like on their end. Is the font too small? Is the, and then we can work with Yardi to, some of the things I can't do with Yardi's platform, which is one thing we're probably going to want to do is that, hey, you're leaving our website and going to a third-party website, especially for accessibility, because I don't have the ability to run those tools on those websites. I even tried to run the tool and it kind of said it didn't register as a website. So, but that could be just the way this Rent Cafe platform works. It's more of a resource to do online property management as opposed to a dedicated website. So I welcome feedback, and even as you guys maneuver through the website, I welcome feedback. If things aren't functioning or too much or whatever, I completely welcome that.
But do we have a place in here that people can sign up for an email blast from us? So like if we have, say, a wait list that opens up, and people have signed up for an email, like they'll get that, hey, the wait list is open, please sign up.
So we are creating currently with Descent, this is not something that LHA, to my knowledge, here, that has done in the past. There's been very little marketing. No, actually.
Yeah.
So we have created an interest list specifically for Ascent. And I think what we will do in the future, we haven't decided if we're going to have a general interest list. Having too many interest lists
Right.
becomes a problem. So either after Ascent is done and we no longer need that specific interest list, convert that to a general one for updates. Really, when we have waitlist openings, our marketing for that is more geared towards, we legally post it in the newspapers. We would put out a press release with the city so that any news, any publications would pick that up and get access to that and publish that. We would publish on social media through the city's website, through their social media accounts. We share that information with all of our community partners, other housing authorities. And then also we have a LinkedIn as well. LHA itself does not have social media other than a LinkedIn page. So that's what we would do for those kinds of larger waitlist openings. We do have a newsletter for tenants, which is a separate group. But we're still trying to figure out what we're gonna do, but that is top of my mind so that people can stay.
Because that's how we can really meet the people that are most interested,
Right.
especially if they go to our website, sign up for the email list, and then hell, the wait list, I can't sign up.
Yeah. And so
it's open type thing.
the wait list that we're creating for Ascent might morph into a more general wait list where you can stay on it and learn about future
Yeah.
openings and other happenings. So
You can always unsubscribe, so it's not like we're like
You're not locked.
spamming these people with useless information. It's just you can always sign up. You know, keep yourself up, yeah.
So that's it for wait list. I would say the other organizational update, which really doesn't impact the board or necessarily tenants, maybe some. We are moving staff within our office. So currently where LHA is housed is with community and neighborhood resources, risk, HR's on one end, and HCI, Housing and Community Investment team. And our accounting department was across the hall, back behind a closed door where Nextlight, utility billing, and all of those groups were. And so we're actually in the process of swapping spaces with CNR. So CNR's entire team will move back where the accounting team was, and the accounting team is actually moving over to the CNR area. So LHA will be completely together now. We were separated before. So there will be some changes to that window, since CNR will be receiving their clients across the way. So you'll see some slight changes in wayfinding here within the Civic Center, but now LHA will all be together. Yes. Which is exciting. That's all I can think of for organizational updates.
Okay. Items for input to the board. So the first thing we have is the tenant selection plan and suites.
Arlene, this is Molly. Do you, and Lauren, do you mind if we do the 202 exit item first? I just happen to be in a very quiet moment.
Sure.
Sure.
Absolutely, go for it.
You're good, Arlene, too?
I'm good, I'm fine.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I wanted to give an update on the Hearthstone and Lodge 202. There we go. I just disconnected for a moment, but I'm back, just making sure everyone can hear.
Yep.
Okay. So, as you know, we spent some time doing some pre-development work and research, and we reached out to a lot of housing authorities that have done a RAD conversion project, so that's a conversion out of the HUD 202 program. And what we found is that nothing really significantly impacts our ability to have more control over rents. And so our rents will always be, when you do a RAD conversion, which is really the only way out of the 202 program, is you will always have constrained rents. They would be subject to annual increases, but not necessarily completely in line with market rate increases, whether they go up or down. So what we have found is, in looking at two different options, doing the RAD conversion and doing just a small rehab to take care of the critical capital items that need to be done until we're ready to do a larger LIHTC re-syndication project and a big rehab. If we do that, then we will not be benefiting from, full power over rents, but we also will not regain any developer fee. And so we'd be going taking out debt to do so, and that would really constrain the net proceeds of the property if our rents are not more flexible and we're taking on more debt. So that would be really tough to do. So most people don't do, if they do a RAD conversion without a full LIHTC deal, then they are not necessarily doing a rehab with it. They're not taking on more debt and more costs per month because the rents wouldn't raise enough to really cover that. So the other option is looking at a full LIHTC deal, which is something we're obviously willing to do. We've done it at 500. And with the market conditions right now, getting new builds is pretty tough. And so, and also this project would be heavily reliant on private activity bonds to be able to be done, because it would not be competitive in the competitive tax credit award process. So that means we're looking at the city's private activity bonds and trying to plan out the priorities for the housing authority. And what we're going to propose to the LHA board is that we go ahead and plan to do a lifetime syndication project, but prioritize the next 1 to 2 years of private activity bonds for the next new build. And so that would mean Hearthstone and Lodge would fall into second place in terms of our timeline, which would put it in the 28 to 2029 timeline. We think that the properties they'll be okay in that amount of time, and then we would be really ready in our pipeline to take this project on. Prioritizing the new builds is important for a couple reasons. A, it's hard, and interest rates on lockdown, so we gotta focus resources. But also, we need the developer fees to come in about 2028 to be able to have LHA's long-term general fund projections look really healthy, and that new build would be the best way to do that. And in the meantime, between now and 2028, we can make incremental improvement in working within the 202 program. So we've completed the capital needs assessment on the buildings and have submitted those to HUD to cover those capital needs that are needed. And that would give us some incremental help with the rents in the short term. It's subject to approval, of course, and we won't get the full request approved, but if we can do some incremental improvements, that would be beneficial. And then we're all receipt from HUD, and Kendra can get more detail on this. I think we're gonna be focusing on that capital needs assessment submittal for this budget round, and then to HUD, the budget round to HUD, which is happening right now in this July-August timeframe. And then mid-year, so mid-year budget year cut, so maybe the 1st of 2026, we'll be talking about increasing our management fee, which has not been done in some time. Kendra, do you mind just supplementing real quick a little bit about that management fee and anything relevant around the budget submittal?
Yeah, so I submitted the budget, so we've only submitted the lodge's budget. I'm waiting for insurance for the Hearthstone, and hopefully we'll have those notices out to tenants this week. The lodge has been submitted. I did talk to our HUD rep, and she said go ahead and submit it for the full amount. You realize we have budget constraints this year as well, so you're not going to get the full amount, but you can definitely at least document that you requested. I mean, the request we made was the full amount, which needs to be at, I think, for $3,000 or $4,000 per unit a year. So it went up from $700 to $1,070 is what I asked for, so it was a $371 increase. She has already reached out to me and asked where the money was coming from. She had the wrong amount. She thought we had $3 million. No, we only have $333,000. But she also did ask if we were going through trying to do the PRAC conversion. And I told her, I said, well, that was our initial intention, but it's not feasible for us at this time. So we'll wait to hear back. She's going to go through it. It's not just a reserve replacement requested. We did also request operations. This property for the lodge and Hearthstone, they have not funded the maintenance tech in full yet. So LHDC's been funding partial maintenance tech at that property. So I did request that they fund it in full for that. I did request that they add carpet cleaning back into it. They took that out and said they had to do that through replacement reserves, which that's really an operational cost that these properties should have. 1 to 2 twice a week, because I think even Hearthstone has white carpet, so so they need that. So I put that back in, and then just you know, they're seeing it. She even told me they're seeing it across the board. Everybody's seeing inflationary costs. And who knows what those inflationary costs are going to be in the next 1 to 2 years. If there's more increased fees with buying international products. You know, we could see an increase there too. We don't know what that's going to amount to. So she's going to go through it. She says, I will go through it with a fine-tooth comb and look at all the invoices. And she may request invoices, which is like, give me an invoice of your actual extermination fees. Give me an invoice of your actual, so, you know, we can, what you're giving me is what you're saying you're giving me. But I do give them a whole layout. They've appreciated it every year of here's what our expenditures are, here's what we need. And so we'll see what they end up giving us for the launch. And the same will happen for the Hearthstone. I don't think the Hearthstone may have as maybe the repairs as the lodge does right now, because they have a pretty hefty repair to replace the windows because the seals are cracked, the windows are fogging. So that's a $300,000 cost right there, and we'd like to get that tackled within the next 3 years. So, yeah, there's 4 items that we added on the lodges, which was we want to take care of their rotting siding, the windows. They also, which I also did ask in our letter to HUD, because we had to give justification, was these properties are required to have an emergency call system. They were built with emergency pool cords. Those, when we came on board, were broken. They weren't even working. So to do the repair for that, instead we went to a pendant system. So each resident has a pendant. They can have a keychain, a necklace, a bracelet. So there's different types of pendants they can have. The capital needs assessment said that HUD requires us to have a backup plan. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but we did ask, like, if we need the actual emergency call system in the rooms and not as a pendant system, they may take that out of the budget and have us do the repair. So we'll see what happens there. So those are the main items for the lodge that we'd like to tackle in the next 3 years. But we need more money.
Do those like triage, like this is the one that has to happen. I mean, they can say all have to happen, but like in order of importance.
It kind of shows an order of importance as far as the capital needs assessment goes. Definitely, we put, you know, the rotting siding, the windows, and then the call center, because we actually have something in place at the time. So I don't know why one would need the other. Be accommodating to the other. And the pendants are, at least, the problem with the pool cords is they're in one place in the apartment. And if that person can't get to the pool cord, then that's why we didn't go with repair back in the day, because it didn't make sense. It made sense to for them to have it on them.
So, it's exciting to know that you actually have a date for the windows. Because we hear that all the time, don't we, Gwen? And yeah, I mean, they say, oh, we have to stick towels in the window in the winter to keep it, keep the cold out and stuff. So yeah, that's good. At least that will tell them we have a plan and we're moving forward on it.
Yeah, and they did get a notice of that, along with, in that notice, it did say these are the ones. This is why you're seeing such a large increase. It doesn't affect you, but these are what the 3 to 5, I think there's 4 items. I can't remember the 4th item is, but that we're wanting to tackle within the next 3 years. Mm-hmm. And whatever we choose to tackle first is whatever money we have on hand at that time.
Good.
I don't do the windows really. We can't like the windows right now. We had this rent on a 3-bedroom townhome. We ordered the windows 6 months ago. 6 months ago. And we just got the notice. We've been following up, and instead they just canceled our order. Like, nope. So it's Gentleman is the product, and that's who has all the contractor packs. They've shut down a bunch of them. I guess, I don't know if they're going under or whatever, but it increased it's like, I don't know, $7,500 worth of product, and now it's about double that, like $15,000 for the newer windows. That now they're saying, from a different manufacturer, that now they're saying it will be at least another
tax rates.
And because of that sort of required now upgrade, yeah, the product took a while for energy saves. Yeah, I don't remember the details. You would know far better than me, but
I'm not, I mean, we just, and I don't even know if we considered that. I mean, we just ordered the, contract really, you measure the windows out, the contract orders the whole pack, and you just cannot get them possible.
There's no.
Yeah. So if you want windows, I would plan a year out. Order them now. Like if you're planning on putting them in for a year from now, order them now. Because they're just, I waited 6 weeks for a pane of glass to do a replacement. We're doing board ups right now. Someone breaks in the road. You just can't get it. You can't get the glass. The original windows that got canceled, Gelman.
Oh,
I wouldn't even bother.
I know it might be, if it's a ways away, we usually try to make it grass. They work a little bit quicker. Just, maybe not. I know last time I dealt with them, there was an issue.
Oh, for
with
the replacement?
Yeah,
We used Hillcrest last year, half the replacement, but the product we use is Gelman. See, they're not even making those windows currently, or they are, but they're not fulfilling orders. The Hillcrest, they're a local glass, and it took 6 weeks.
Yeah, at one point there was a big issue with glass manufacturing, but liquid glass, they always came through a lot faster for me. So yeah, maybe that's.
But it's, if you're doing windows, you have to plan it right.
Do they require just a deposit in the beginning, or do they require full payment?
Full payment. For us, at least, you guys might.
That's gonna be the, yeah, that's gonna make it hard. Because that's the largest cost, and that may take our entire, and if it's doubled, or if it's, I mean, I would hope we just got the CNA that they would have the most current data as far as what windows cost and what type of windows we need. But yeah, it was over $300,000, and that's right where our reserve sits right now.
Yeah, so our
And
original.
we'd be doing that with the large rehab, so we'd be working on that project well in advance, and our general contractors would put those orders in, and they also have their contracts for suppliers. They put those in with a lot of time.
Molly, are you referencing the LIHTC remodel in like 2028?
Yeah, that's what we would do, yes. For a $300,000 item, yeah. We would build that in because that'll be part of basis for the tax credits.
But this is to fix the windows before that project at the lodge.
And I don't think that's not the plan. We would be saving the big ticket items for the large rehab.
Well, we had to do a justification to HUD on why we needed an increase, and that was one of the reasons, to get that done within the next 3 years.
Yep, as part of our big rehab.
Well, the answer is 2028.
Potentially. I guess if we see a drop in price on windows, which is not okay.
Then do it then, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Do it.
yeah.
Strike when the iron is hot.
So our original purchase order for the windows was $7,500, and that's just the cost. And the new order was like $16,000, and it's something change.
Got the whims of the market.
In terms of the age of Hearthstone and Lodge, is this normally within like the window of when it would be up for a rehab?
No. Not with Chapa's current requirements, which is why we're going to do a non-competitive award, certainly, and we would bring the story with it that we're doing a 2-2 conversion, and it really is most advantageous to pair that with a tax credit deal. So we would put together a justification, which is something we did for Village as well, but typically Chapa doesn't want to see a re-syndication until 20 years, which these properties were 2009 and 2012. So we're ahead of that, but we'll be able to work that through.
I didn't realize they were that big.
Well, I think, originally it's 15 years is when you would see a property come up for tax credits. They've been pushing it out more and more because they're oversubscribed. In theory, buildings should be able to last 20 years before needing major upgrades. In this case, siding being an issue. You know, I owned a home here in Longmont that was built probably around the same time or a little bit before, and that siding is like a sponge. It's not good. It's not hardy or exciting. And so all of that trim at the Hearthstone Lodge is similar to that material, so it doesn't last as long. So we need to tackle that before we have further issues with water intrusion, because you know, buildings, the thing
That's ridiculous.
kill it the most is water.
Colored duct.
I don't think the residents would like this thing, but we'll do what we have to.
Okay, Mo.
Right, moving on to the next one, the tenant selection plan. Yep. Okay, so every so often we have to revise our tenant selection plan. In this case, we are adding Ascent, our newest property. Just for updates for our new members, the tenant selection plan guides how Longmont Housing Authority reviews and approves tenants off of the applicants off the wait list for our tax credit properties and also Briarwood. We used to have the suites included here, but because they have a very unique process with their applicants being 100% project-based voucher and tied to permanent supportive housing, they actually have their own tenant selection plan, which we'll look at right after this one. So this is the LHA General TSP. This is on the landlord side. So we have the admin plan, which guides the voucher program on the voucher side. But then we also have this tenant selection plan, which guides us as the landlord. So the first change you'll see is on page 9 of the packet, also page 6 of the TSP at the top if you're looking at a different page number. And you'll see Aspen Meadows was added under 4.5. We also updated a few different references. We added Village on Main as having project-based vouchers because those were included after the re-syndication. So added Village on Main to 4.2, included Ascent at Hover Crossing at 4.5, and then I just made some matching language with 4.6 where it was a little bit different. The next change is on page 10, where again we reference Ascent in section 5.4, where we talk about social security numbers being a requirement. The next change, I believe, is on page 18 of the packet. And if you look on page 17, this is the section 13 notification of changes to the tenant selection plan. So not having a online system in the past, when we would make changes to this, we would mail notice to all of the applicants. LHA having paper applications, that is quite an undertaking, and there's costs for mailing that many letters out. So we decided to take a look at this section and include that the tenant selection plan would be available in person at our office and also posted to our website. That applicants on the wait list will be mailed a letter to the address on file notifying them of the changes and informing them of where they can review the changes. For current residents at the properties, we will post notice at the property, likely at the property management office, notifying where they can review the changes. We don't want to send out a big packet, so just telling them where to go. And then knowing that with the Yardi transitions that we're making and we're going fully online with applicants, in the future we can just email them straight from the system, a notification without having to mail it. So in the future, once that's live, we went ahead and put that in here. If applicants and residents have provided LHA with an email address, which will be required.
That should be with, so
Will?
with
Oh, thank you. I will change that. With an email address, notification of changes may be emailed in lieu of posting, notice, or mailing letters. So once we have that entire system up and running and all of the applicants and tenants in the system with an active email address, we can switch to online, which will be more beneficial for everybody, including savings costs. So there were other changes. Those are all the changes to the general Longmont TSP. And the next one is the Suites Supportive Housing Tenant Selection Plan. This one we look at on an annual basis with all of our community partners, which include DOLA, DOH, the state program that runs the permanent supportive housing. Also, Homeless Solutions Boulder County, Heidi Grove, we send this to her for review, as well as Clinica Family Health and Wellness, which is formerly MHP. Both Clinica and Longmont issued project-based vouchers for this project. LHA has 41 and Clinica has 40. So we get everybody's input on any of these changes because this does affect the tenants who come in, whether they come in through the Clinica route or through LHA's waitlist. So some of the updates that we've made to this are, of course, to update MHP's name because they have merged with Clinica. So making sure that that is included. Another topic that came up was taking out the housing first language given preferences at the federal level. We have changed that name just in case that flags anything. So we have called it Housings and Supports, and that was okay with the state. We also removed harm reduction because that is also a flagged term. So that has changed. We also updated the eligibility criteria so that a household must meet 2 of the preferences. We had it saying that the household must be homeless, and then we also had a preference for homelessness. So after discussing it, it seemed a little redundant. So they have to meet 2 of the preferences below, which we'll talk about on the next page. And then some updates that were required from our recent home monitoring with the state. They asked us to reference the statute, and also in our rental history screening asked for clarification around how many years we look back, which that statute actually governs how we do that, and it's currently 7 years. I'm waiting to hear back from the state if they want the 7 years written or if we can just reference the statute. And the reason why I would prefer to reference the statute is, as we know, statutes change, and then if it changes next year, we've got to update this again and go through this whole process. So if we can avoid distinct information and just reference statutes or requirements, that would be the best. Thanks. Also included in the second bullet point under rental history screening that if tenants have entered into and are in compliance with the repayment agreement with HUD, we will not bar them from being an applicant. Because right now, if you owe HUD money, if you cause damages, or you have fraud suspected in reported in PIC, we cannot rent to you. So, but if you have a repayment agreement with HUD and you're in compliance, we will. And we do see that from time to time. The next section that got changes was section 5, the preferences. We talked about some of the language around homelessness and preferences and decided to switch it. Take out experiencing long-term or chronic homelessness because really experiences of homelessness encompasses all of it, or is at imminent risk of homelessness. We do get a lot of calls for people who are currently housed but have been given 30 days notice and they have no plan and nowhere to go and no affordable option and they are at risk of homelessness. Imminent risk, we define that because that is a defined term with HUD. It's risk of homelessness within 14 days of the date of application for homeless assistance. And this will allow community partners, Boulder County, Rapid Rehousing, and other groups within the county human services, and also our own human services here in Longmont, to reach out to us to get someone on the wait list. I'm just referencing the change in name. We also met after going through one appeal, the first appeal that this new-ish team in the last year and a half has gone through at the suites. Came together to discuss this process because at the maximum amount of time that was listed in here was 30 days to go through the appeal process, which means 30 days that someone remains unhoused and 30 days that we don't collect rent on people. So we tightened up these dates and changed it to, they have 5 business days from the time that they are denied to request in writing an appeal. Typically that happens a lot sooner than 5 days. So that will speed it up. And then once we have that appeal request, we schedule the informal review within 5 business days. It's pretty easy to do given that they usually have some support through a case manager or someone that they're working with at the organizations who are referring them. And then we will mail them a letter or email them a letter within 3 business days of the decision. And that really sped up the timeline to 13 business days.
So Lauren,
I want to add, if I may add one level of detail on the term housing first to housing support. That change was already in progress before the current presidential administration. It doesn't functionally mean anything. It's the same thing. But housing first was causing, I mean, there's political implications certainly that were in place before this administration, but generally there is confusion on what that means more on the focused or local level too, because it is not actually housing first. That some have implied that means just get them housed. It really has to come with support. So I think that's actually a positive change. The one on the harm reduction, I'm actually not familiar with that. That's more of that Lauren would have that detail of what DOH said about that, and maybe that one is more directly tied to federal,
That
changes
one,
in terms.
that one came
But I
from
just wanted
Heidi.
to add that on.
Yeah, the harm reduction came from Heidi Grove with Housing First Boulder County, or Home Solutions Boulder County, and DOH agreed.
Yeah, and all of the state and all of our regional partners are all modifying the housing first language to housing first. Just that way.
And then also we made changes in light of the changes we were making to the TSP for the LHA general TSP. We don't send out notification the same way for this one. However, we did want to post notice of changes at the property in case current residents are interested in moving to another LHA property, or if they themselves also want to add someone to their household, they need to be aware that changes were made to this specific TSP, because there might be something that would preclude someone that they wanted to add to come in. So we'll just be posting notice and where to see the changes. They can always request this from the community manager or from our office.
so if they want to move to another property, do they have to have a voucher to go to that other property?
Not if they income qualify. I mean, we do have 30% units and 40% units that might be within reach of somebody who's been living at the suites, who has received the supports they need, are ready to transition out of that supportive service scenario and has a job and is ready to do that. I mean, it can be a big jump for someone to go from only paying 30% of their income to paying even a 30% LIHTC rent, because as you know, the LIHTC rents are not exactly low. So, but it's not impossible.
We don't have that happen very often.
We have had some move from the suites.
Yeah, we did have one recently move over.
Yeah.
From the suites.
It's possible. We aren't issuing vouchers. We're in the same boat that we've been in for the past 2 years, but it is possible. I think it would apply more in the sense of if they want to add someone to their household, if they want to move in a partner or a family member, that they would want to be updated about these changes. And we'd probably post the other LHA TSP as well at this property, even though it doesn't apply, just so that they have all the information that they could possibly need. And they would be able to find it online as well. Those are the 2 tenant selection plans. Any questions?
I have a couple things going back to the general tenant selection plan. This is not really important at all, but there's just a quick typo on 3.4,
yeah.
I think. Did you talk about that?
No, but
Just that, let's see, the 4th bulleted point under 3.4, I think it should be the certification must be signed by the individual providing the support and must be submitted even if not assistance, so just no assistance. Yeah. Very small thing. And then just for my own edification, I don't think I understand which number it is. It's 6.9. Sorry, my husband informed me last night that we do not have any ink. So I was like, it's my fault for putting it off, but still. Okay. So 6.9, the second bullet point, I just am not sure what that means. So exempt from Social Security number disclosure and verification requirements are individuals who do not contend eligible immigration status. Is that just, again, I just am not sure. what contending immigration status is. Or, sorry, contending, yeah.
Must be equivalent.
Yeah, I was like, maybe just statutory language. I just didn't. I should have checked that before bothering.
Yeah, they do that, so you have to read it over and over again to dissect what they actually mean. Even our HUD reps would tell us, like, they won't really actually give us the answer. They'll just say, go to this regulation. Like,
Yeah.
that's not what I want. Why didn't you tell me what that regulation means?
I'm happy to go back and see if I can find the language. I was not sure.
So this says that in the context of housing assistance, do not contend eligible immigration status means an individual chooses not to claim or verify their eligible immigration status, resulting in them not being eligible for the portion of the housing assistance that is prorated for their benefit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For doing an extra job later. That's all.
So I just have a question, and this is under the tenant selection plan. So when we're looking at the criminal background check, it's worded a little bit different in here as it is in suites, but I'm assuming it's the same thing. Do we check this every year at the time of the day meeting their lease? Or is this just checked one time when they come in?
Just when they move in.
So we expect them to let us know if they end up with a felony or something?
No. If we learn, say they're arrested on site, and through Sarah's reports, we catch wind of that, and it violates any terms of the lease or the crime-free addendum that they agreed to, we could issue them a demand. We could address it through that process. If we never know, we wouldn't. We don't go and do periodic reports. Now, if we suspect something is going on, there might be a way for us to look into that, but it would be very specific situations and scenarios.
But it's not required for us to ask them to do a background check.
And it would be a cost to them to be able to do that. And given the type of program this lease is, as well as any of that, we're a little more lax on certain things regarding their background checks, because someone who has been chronically unhoused is more likely to have more interactions with the law. So we do have the option to deny someone, but we also have direction from HUD not to be so stringent that we're denying access to housing for flipping small time charges that, especially charges that are very old, or when they can prove that they have been rehabilitated in some way. Now, if it's a pattern of crime, crimes against property or people, violent, probably less likely to accept that person. But given the housing first housing supports programs, we are a little less stringent on those.
But you do put in suites, well, and I think in the other one as well, if they're a registered lifetime sex offender, they're denied.
And that's the federal requirement.
Which is different than suite, or
Zinnia.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay, next item is the revised reasonable accommodation policy. This has been a long time coming. So LHA's reasonable accommodation policy was previously modeled after Boulder County Housing Authority's, except some things were left off. BCHA uses a group, a panel, to review and process their reasonable accommodations. And after handling all reasonable accommodations for a year and a half on my own, I think that is a great idea. One, it takes the burden off of one specific person, because this can be time consuming. It also establishes a framework where people can have a reasonable expectation of a time frame. Also, because HUD told us we needed an updated reasonable accommodation policy. And it also reduces the risk of one person being accused of discrimination. Because if it's a panel reviewing it, and there's many people reviewing and making a decision as a group, you're not putting all of that pressure on one person. So this is, again, modeled off of the BCHA reasonable accommodation policy, and also our outside counsel, Les Wallenweber, reviewed it, along with the one that he's essentially had blessed by Ed, so he incorporated from both. It's pretty long. It's a lot more wordy than our other reasonable accommodation policy, but I think that that's good. It provides people with more information. The committee is the biggest change, that we would create a committee of 3 people with an alternate, so that if that one of the 3 people were not available to meet, we wouldn't be able to come to a quorum and make a decision. We have an alternate who can step in, so that we don't unduly delay those requests being reviewed.
And I think that's great. That's good.
And I would say the other biggest change to the process is updating the reasonable accommodation modification request packet. So currently, if somebody submits a reasonable accommodation to me, a lot of times they are missing information. They're not, the request, I have to like tease it out or follow up. And so this packet allows the tenant to put more information. It gives them the verification form, which they currently did not have, and so a lot of requests did not come with a letter from their doctor or their therapist, or someone who knows them and can attest to their need, because it doesn't always have to be a doctor's note or someone seeking therapy to get the support to accommodate. So this gives them that information. A reliable third party could be a person's child coming in and saying, my father is hard of hearing and he can't hear the door ring or the phone ring when I come to visit him, so I need a key or whatever the request would be. The additional part that I am excited about is there is a form for staff to fill out. There's a lot of information that I need from the community manager or the voucher person. The voucher team's been in the past really good at providing me information because they have a different form. They'll switch to this one. But information that I need as the person reviewing, or will be the committee reviewing, like what kind of unit do they have? Are they on disability? So that covers, are they disabled? So all of that information would be included in their request form for the staff use. They can add additional comments. They can even attest to the need themselves. I've told community managers, if you know they need this and you've witnessed them and you regard them as having a disability, you can actually support their request. It doesn't have to be their doctor. Because that can be a little prohibitive for some of our residents that wait for a doctor's appointment. In the meantime, they still need the accommodation. So when possible, we can help. So that is our draft. We're planning on bringing this to the board meeting next week to get it approved. I don't know when it will go into effect. I do still have quite a few requests outstanding that I'd like to wrap up, and we'll need to figure out who's going to be on our board and come up with a schedule. So I don't want to make it effective immediately, but we'll be discussing that next week with our board.
Just on section 4, so that's page 4 of 10 of this. It just looks like something got deleted at the end, because at the end is in the event and then blank, so maybe some language just was left out. It's page 34 of our packet today.
Oh, I will look at that, see what happened there.
Well, then on number 4 too, how is the committee selected as well? Because I didn't necessarily see that in here.
It's not, it's probably going to be me as the 504 coordinator, someone from the voucher team, and someone from property management, or someone from accounting. Really, because we get requests as landlords, and then we also get requests as voucher managers. I also want to have the accounting team included, because there are sometimes we have to have discussions about cost and who's responsible for the cost of a modification, and are there alternates that we want to offer. For example, we get requests for jetted walk-in tubs, the nice tubs with the door that you can close and fill up. And they're very expensive, and they're not always the best choice. So having someone from the financial mind, sorry, you on the team to have that discussion and that point of view. review is really important. We also haven't in the past done a very good job of tracking costs for reasonable accommodations. So if I approve one and I put in a work order, I give very specific direction to them to include Indra and make sure that the invoices reference a reasonable accommodation in the unit so that we can track those costs. But it's just going to be a team of LHA staff, no one particular other than me.
So, other than a cost issue, what are the reasons have you done where you have denied a reasonable accommodation?
Denials, so it's frowned upon to outright deny for certain things.
Okay.
If somebody submits an incomplete request, maybe they didn't submit a letter of support, I don't know them, I don't have any personal experience with this person, so I'm not aware of their disability, and it's unclear to me. I cannot just deny the request.
Not approved.
I can't even do that. I actually have an obligation under HUD's insistence that I have a iterative conversation with the person. I need to go back to them and say, hey, I need more information in order to process your request. It must be an open conversation with the person. To deny so clearly for like, you could have asked, HUD would frown upon that. A denial would come if the person has absolutely no evidence of disability. And they don't claim to have a disability. That's one of the tiers. That you must have a disability, be disabled, be regarded as someone with a disability. Truly don't even have to have one, but if you're regarded as a person with a disability, you have disability. And then there has to be, the need has to be there, but the need has to have a tie to the disability. So if your disability is, I have asthma, and so I'm treated for asthma, I have a doctor's note stating I have asthma, I need a cat for my asthma. Okay, what's the nexus? Why do you need a cat for asthma? You can ask them. Like, you can't ask them what their disability is, but you can ask them, how is it connected? If somebody wants to park closer, it needs to be tied to the disability. You had back surgery, you use a walker, you have trouble going long distances, so you need a parking spot closer. We cannot designate an ADA space, so we might take a regular space and convert it as a designated parking space for that person. That being said, I haven't denied many because we call and we ask, or we'll ask for more follow-up information or ask for verification if necessary. Also, we're encouraged to try to find a compromise. If the person's requesting, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, if the person's requesting something and we can propose an alternative that would meet their need but would not put a burden on us as a landlord and owner, we can offer that. And then if they don't want that, then the request will be denied. But
The difference is I don't have to pay for it.
yes,
I just
we
have to-
do.
Yeah, I can't deny it. They have to pay for it.
Correct. For
And then
modification.
remove it when they leave.
Yeah, unless you tell them to leave it.
Correct, yeah, unless I give them permission to.
Yeah.
We've had like, can I install pole bars, can I install a toilet, can I do ramps?
Most of our buildings are built with ADA requirements, so that takes care of a lot of them. We do get a lot of requests for bars, which, that's so simple and easy and, cheap enough that I'm not gonna deny that, especially because the majority of our population are senior. We saw a lot of requests in the past for extra key fobs, which sort of led to the additional fob policy for our senior properties. We get a lot of animal requests for assistance animals because we are a pet-free community. That may change in the future. But we'll still see requests as service animals because then if you have fees and deposits, those are waived for service animals. So, and I think we talked about this last month, but there is a new requirement for new projects getting tax credits and DOH money that you cannot be pet-free community. So that will change going forward for LHA. I don't know if our current communities will convert to pet communities. Remains to be seen.
I think it's going to be interesting. You guys have anything?
I don't have anything that came through. The only thing I would talk about quality of life is the AMSA flooring, which we can talk about in your development and project updates. Rising issues in housing. This is typically related to what's going on at the federal level with vouchers and funding. Molly, jump in if you have something. I don't think anything has changed from our last update. We still have not met with that, despite all the attempts. We have not been able to nail down a date with our HUD representative. Molly, did you want to do development and project updates, or do you want me to?
Sure.
Okay.
No, I'm good. No, I'm good. Okay, so yes, the AMSA flooring is one of the things I wanted to mention. We have completed the flooring replacement project, which has been a long time coming, and we're very happy that it is complete. We're just getting attorney approval on signing off on the settlement agreement with all of the parties that we work on to get this done. And so that everybody is back in their units, flooring is fixed, and everyone's belongings are back together at this point. So happy to report that that is complete. Secondly, I wanted to give an update on we talked about private activity bonds a little bit in the last couple of meetings because there was a lot of movement going on. I just want to let you know that LHA is involved in 2 private activity bond projects that are non-LHA specific projects. The first is Atwood Commons, which we have talked about in this meeting quite a bit. That is a project that LHA is a special limited partner on and will be the property manager on. And LHA will be issuing the private activity bonds on behalf of that project. And they are putting in for their 3rd round of tax credit application right now. So we're hoping that by November we will have another new build project coming into Longmont that has LHA included in the partnership, but it's not a fully sponsored LHA project. The other bond project in the mix is a private developer has purchased 2 half-contract projects. So they have a half-contract with HUD to provide 100% voucher-supported units. It's 130 units total, a combination of senior and family units. There's 2 properties, Mountain View Plaza and, oh my gosh, off the top of my head, Park, Mountain View and Park. Dang it, I forgot it. Anyways, I can report back if anybody's interested. We've talked about this a little bit in the past because we had to apply on LHA, applied on the project's behalf to CHAPA for the statewide balance of private activity bonds. They were successful in getting the city's 2024 allocation of bonds, and then we supported them with that statewide balance application here about 2 months ago, and they were luckily successful in getting that allocation. And then secondly, with the change of the federal budget side, or the big beautiful bill, allowing the 50% test to move down to a 30% test, meaning rather than having to get 50% of your project cost and bonds, it can go down to 30. So that is really good news for that project because they are going to be fully funded, assuming when they put in their CHAPA non-competitive tax credit application, which they're also doing right now this month, that they will be requesting a top-off of the remaining bond that they need, which means they don't have to come back to the city to do that. And so LHA is going to be supporting them by assigning all of those bonds to CHAPA so that they can issue that on right now. So it's not an LHA project, but it will be successful in bringing a rehab of voucher-supported units to Longmont. That's where I'm going to pause for today. We have, I think Lori can fill in some Ascent construction updates. And then we, like I talked about, we were trying to shake out what the next new build project would be. But I'm going to pause there partly because I'm about to take over child duty. So thank you, everybody. I'll just be listening from this point on. Thanks.
So Ascent is, under construction. could happen sooner, could happen January, February. We're working out with the general contractor what we would need to get a temporary occupancy, certificate of occupancy. And our team is meeting weekly with each other internally on the project, and then also every other week externally with Wild Plum to talk about marketing and what that looks like. And so first thing that we did was have the webpage to point people to, created an interest list, which has gone out, and we are working on a application to go out through the city that will go out probably in the next 24 to 48 hours, pointing people to the website and also interest list to sign up. Knowing that we are going to open our waitlist application process for the vouchers on September 8th, and then the following Monday on the 15th we'll open the waitlist for the affordable units, because there are two different waitlists. For the units that are supported with a project-based voucher, we will utilize our already existing multifamily voucher waitlist. For PBVs, which would be Aspen Meadows neighborhood, and then Ascent is getting added on there. Then we have our affordable waitlist, which is separate. So we'll have the PBV waitlist open and close after 2 weeks, and then the affordable waitlist will stay open, because all of our waitlists for the tax credit units just stay open. We are planning on working with our community partners, making sure the senior center understands the process. We have gone through the online waitlist application process in the past with opening our 2-bedroom voucher waitlist with them. We'll be working with children, youth, and families. We'll be working with the library to let them know what's coming, because we do think that people will come in to utilize computers if they don't have them where they are. We will have computers on hand. Quincy got the library to loan us a bunch of Chromebooks to make it super easy, and we're getting a dedicated computer from IT as well. So we'll have options for people if we see people coming in to apply. So this, again, will all be online, and we'll have help for those who need it. And then we'll start working through those wait lists and start calling people to prep for lease up later in the fall. We want to make sure, I have no worries about having a healthy wait list. The need is so great that we're probably gonna have way more people than we can serve, sadly. But the nice thing is that we will have these larger units available, which is really exciting. We're also coordinating with Wild Plum so that the current Wild Plum families understand what's necessary for them to get on the wait lists. We can't provide a preference for families who have children who are going to Wild Plum, but we can target marketing to those families and make sure that they have everything that they need. We will be providing flyers to them for their back to school night, which is coming up. And then also we're doing an info session with children, youth, and families for people, the general public. Anyone can come and learn about how to qualify, what that process looks like. Get more information. They'll be able to see some renderings, floor plans, and we'll have handouts for everybody and go over all of those things. LHA has not done this in the past, so it's going to be exciting to have a new process for our new projects.
And the age limit again is,
So Ascent is multifamily. There is no age restriction.
I mean, for the kids, is it like 0 maybe, from 0 to
Probably 0 to
5 or
5.
something?
If you can be 5 and still consider pre-K4. So yeah, if you're kindergarten age, you would go to public school or homeschool or charter school.
So those are pretty big, so.
And Wild Plum is a low-income provider, so they use Head Start and CCAP. And I think Molly has talked about this in the past. CCAP is frozen currently within Boulder County, so they're inviting CCAP families from other locations to apply to come to this location when it opens. And then those families can make their best efforts to get on our wait list if they're interested in moving to Ascent as well. They want to co-locate their child care anyway.
Our residents do not get priority over anyone else.
Not initially, because you have to either be in the Head Start program or CCAP currently. But if they have an opening, they have agreed to give our residents a a 1 week priority to get in line. If nobody, then they'll open it up to the public. They are also, Wild Plum this is not their model, but they're looking at trying to come up with a sliding scale cash pay scenario. Much like housing, they'd have to subsidize it, so they're trying to figure out if that model would work, because there's just a concern that with CCAP being frozen and funding always being in question, that they might have spaces but no kids. And if we have people living there who need childcare and can pay, but not pay the full amount to cover their costs, how do we make that work? So they've been looking at that as well. That's all I got for essential. Oh, and then we have a big giant banner in my office that's going to go on the fence around the property to point people to the interest list as well.
Okay.
So as they're driving by, they'll know where to go to get information.
That's maybe the update on operations.
So, this is the last time I'm going to do this report, and then I'm going to hand it over to Quincy next time.
Pardon me, Legend?
Sure is excited. So, I kept the legend on the side. I thought it was really helpful. We are at full occupancy at Aspen Meadows neighborhood for the first time since I started, which is really exciting. We have had one additional increase in vacancies at Aspen Meadows Senior, which has our highest vacancy rate. Some of this was due to the construction project with the flooring, general turnover. We did have one death, and we had some units that we were holding vacant for staging during the flooring replacement. So that's why we have so many vacants. Quincy's working very closely with property management on site to qualify people. We've also looked at reducing our rents by 5% to accommodate that we're just seeing people cannot afford these lifetime rents at 50% AMI. It is. So, and we did have one person transfer from this property to one of the 202s because they could not afford the light tech rent anymore, so they were able to transfer. You can see some have remained the same. Spring Creek and Fall River have remained the same. Not same units, different units at different times coming open. And one thing we don't have on this report are people who give notice but have not moved out yet. Sometimes I put that in the details below. So some appear to be vacant, but they haven't actually moved out yet. Lodge and Hearthstone have had reductions in their vacancies, especially with Hearthstone's work being done after the fire and the flood. The two people whose units were damaged the most and were staying in a hotel have opted to move into a different vacant unit permanently so that they can get back into their home, which is going to allow us to claim lost revenue with the insurance on those vacant units while they're being rehabilitated. And that is taking a while because they are pulling permits with the city, and so they have to wait in line like everybody else, and it's taking forever. So I'm glad that those tenants were able to move into a new unit and not continue to live in a hotel.
On site. Yeah.
The suites, we have the same number of vacancies. Village on Main reduced from 3, so we just have 1. And then Briarwood, we are at 1 vacancy. We talked about the difficulty with the tax credit rent reducing. I think it's to 45%. We're on track.
I didn't go 2% on the 2 amount, so it was $12.50 is what we're looking at to hopefully have, because we're going to have inflation increases next. But I mean, we have to pull triggers lower if that's.
Spring Creek, we've got some unit turns in process and working the wait list. Fall River, we've had one person for the PBV that they've been working through that process. 3 applicants in process. Hover, we had the 2 tenants move to new units and we'll do the lost revenue. Other unit turns in process at the
1-6.
1695, yes.
Those rents are
Rents
hard.
are high, yeah.
And then Briarwood, we have one vacant. We will have another vacant coming up. Unfortunately, we have someone vacating for lack of, they can't pay the rent anymore.
It happened as of yesterday, so she got picked up this morning.
So where are those people going?
I gave her a resource list. So she was in a particular situation where she had the money, but she needed it for her car, and she didn't. She was getting help from an agency, and the agency told her that she needed to pay a specific amount. She had the amount, and something went wrong with her car, so she spent it on that. The agency was going to cut the check, and they asked me to send the receipt for the money that she was supposed to pay. She didn't pay, so it kind of just fell through the cracks. So instead of evicting her, we made sure we sent it so she could go find somewhere else to go. And I gave her a resource list, and she said she's going to utilize it. She's been talking to the house and the senior center, so hopefully she finds something.
And then have the vacancy, the lost vacancy report, and you had asked last month to see a comparison from last month to this one, so see the increase there. And then Kendra has provided me with this lovely new report. You want to show us how,
Well, we're in the process of revamping it, so this is going to be part of Heather's reporting on the accounting side. So we're working with Bernie too.
this is not included in your packet, but it is the reasons that people moved out or vacated. So we have criminal activity, four units vacated for, and these are what they cite as the reason. We don't necessarily give the reason.
What's the time period for this one?
All 2025.
All 2025.
Just 2025.
What does that mean? Criminal activity?
I don't know.
Person of,
Is it that they were involved in criminal activity? Or are they citing criminal activity as their reason for leaving?
It could be, what property is it mainly?
It's probably Zinnia.
It's all Zinnia, so my guess is it's mutual
It's
decisions.
criminal activity. Yeah, it's criminal activity.
Okay, so the tenants own criminal activity. Deceased, we had 11 people in 2025 who passed away. We've had 5 evictions. 2 have moved in with family. 1 has moved out of state. 6 declined to give a reason or didn't, just not applicable. 1 needed more space. 1 out of business.
That would probably be, they transitioned during the construction completion.
Oh, okay.
And we're at Village Place and
Okay.
did an out of business. Like, I don't know. That would have to be a property manager question on
Okay.
why that was.
2 moved out for reasonable accommodation, and that is likely a transfer of some kind. 12 relocating. 4 claimed the rent was too high. 3 unit transfers and 3 unit transfers same property. So those are different. Okay, 2 unit transfers at Hearthstone. Those are probably the 2 tenants who left. They damaged units. 2 at the suites, which I'm aware of those. And then at Zinnia, we had someone transferred into other reasonable accommodation. So there could be some overlap between the reasonable accommodation and the unit transfers. Could be both.
Can you drop back to page 48 for a second?
Yep.
These numbers, 236,000, is that dollars?
Yes. Awesome. And those are set to the lifetime. That's right. So it could actually be more, in theory, if someone with a voucher moved out. We would have been getting more money. But the system, the max is set to the tax credit rates. And then the project-based voucher units.
It could be several different scenarios. You could have somebody that's paying less than the light tech rent, but the vacancy dollars are based all on light tech rent, regardless of if there's vouchers. So that's how we calculate the vacancies. Once the unit's vacant, it's at the light tech rent until it gets filled by a voucher holder or it gets discounted
close to what we were this time last year.
I'll have to look.
Used to be last year, we were at like 500,000.
Yeah, last year it seemed like we had more vacancies,
We did.
because we really cut down on it.
And some of the numbers here will, going forward, will be different because for the Hearthstone, the loss for those 2 units will recoup through insurance funds. That's a great question. We can add a comparison to last year, year to date, if you'd like to see that.
I don't want pretty extra work. That's what I would have compared to last year.
I can have that. It's not that full. Quincy can have that one.
Why don't I pretty work?
Property updates. You can give property updates because you know a lot more about what's going on in properties than I do.
Okay.
There's no actual document. You just have to go off that.
Oh, on top of my head. Okay. Property updates. Honestly, the properties they're moving fine. I have Summer the next couple of days. She's gonna go see if we can utilize other properties wait list before Aspen, because right now we've already went through the wait list. I went over there the other day. It was kind of discouraging because people just can't afford it. So we're gonna try something different. Try that. But that's kind of the biggest project right now, is trying to find where to fill the Aspens. Kendra was nice enough to let us reduce the rent to $12.50. Even that, I still don't think I'll find anybody for that, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll let you guys know next month for sure.
We'll reach out to the other housing authorities too. They may have people who do have vouchers who are looking to move for whatever reason and may want to move into one of our properties. And that would be great because then we get the higher rents for those.
Yeah. That's really it. We may do a beautification. We're still gonna do the beautification thing over at Briarwood. No?
Still hoping.
Hoping,
Maybe.
yeah.
But Briarwood's very much up in the air.
Yeah. Briarwood's actually easier to fill than all the other units. Jackie has a couple people waiting, so we'll get those filled. For the most part, the property managers are like doing great as far as not having their units filled. I don't know why Askins. Well, I do know why Askins is so hard to fill because of the price, but once we get that under control, we should be able to fill it. Yeah, that's what originally it's $14.12, but we spoke to Kendra about it. We did some numbers, and we can drop it to $12.50 without it truly affecting us. And then even that is still able to work fixed income. And even if we find somebody that could afford it, they're not at 2 times that. So the question is, are we going to do that just to fill the unit? Because I've had some people, I've had several people that I would tell no, that make around 16 or 18, but
They can't live off of
they can't live off of that. Realistically, we'd be the ones doing it wrong. So, yeah.
With Briarwood, the office space, is that still vacant?
It is. They vacated in June, and we're looking at what our options are. Understand that we would not displace anyone on the apartment side because a sale, if that were the option, would include the whole entire property. Whoever purchased it would acquire those leases. But there's some funding, there's some work that has to be done on the funding because there's home funding included and also project-based vouchers. So it's not a simple situation, and it's kind of a unique property for someone to purchase because of those events.
So have you had any interest, anybody that's even said, gee, what's going on?
Just one. She's properties in the fall for another public health presentation, and Sarah is working on dates with him and the community managers. Our next topic conversations is in October. Yeah, so that'll be an October timeframe, and then we'll have one more coffee conversations probably right before the holidays, where we'll talk about budget for the properties. Calls for service. These are calls between July 8th and August 12th. Spring Creek had 2, Fall River had 2, Aspen Meadows Neighborhood had 4, Aspen Meadows Senior had 2, Village on Main had 5, Briarwood had 1. Briarwood had been very quiet previously. The Lodge had 1, Hardstone had 1, and the Suites had 34. Of those of the Suites, several of them were animal complaints, a handful of assaults, 6 calls for CORE to respond to situations. Or check-in.
Are the animal complaints due to noise, or are they due to the fact that they're not cleaning up?
It's actually aggression. So that is something
Well, it's a lot.
aggression. We call aggression. And it's all one tenant.
It's one dog.
One dog.
It's one dog.
And then,
Is it still there?
yes,
The dog's still there?
for now. And just as an FYI, we've had 16 calls at Zinnia. And those range from just disruption to assault to criminal activity in general. So that's public safety.
Financials. So I'll just kind of go over a overview. So I tried to highlight which ones are over budget 50%, what's over budget vacancy wise, any anomalies and costs that are occurring. So one thing is we have a fire at the Hearthstone, so you're going to see a lot of expenditures happening there, but that should be fully covered minus the deductible. HOA fees increased for the Hearthstone and the Lodge by almost $400 a quarter. So we're definitely going to see an over budget situation happening there. That was also requested in my budget increase to HUD. BOM, they have an anomaly, and that's just because they were still in the process of closing on their loan, so they have higher percentage of interest. Not necessarily that we don't have the money to fund that project and finish out the year, but there were additional just expenditures that happened interest-wise for that property. Briarwood, we had a boiler repair that was needed, and we actually changed the boiler in the process to be more accommodating to the actual area itself. They had a really big boiler that wasn't, they had already put P-tax in all of the other units. So what kind of happened is the boiler wasn't working enough anymore, which then caused it to fail. So they kind of restructured the boiler to just accommodate the actual office area instead of the individual units, because the individual units were already taken care of and working off a different system. ANSA had some tenant relocation that we had to accommodate for the flooring. Some of the tenants and even family members requested that their loved ones go into a hotel, but they weren't just sitting around waiting for the flooring to complete that day. So we did have a little extra cost there, which you'll see in the over budget. But I don't think we're in any problems. And then on the LHA side, you'll see a higher number in our grant contributions, and really we're not over budget. It's just those expenditures all happened over time. So instead of annually. So, and those are all going to be reimbursed by the city. So they're all ARPA funding based on camera grant. Vacancies are over budget across the board. We had 55 units already, vacant, and it all depends on, we've had a lot of deaths where the next of kin wasn't signing the paperwork, or we didn't have next of kin, and you have to go through eviction. So more than likely, our report probably shows it's vacant because they died, but we might also have to go through eviction because we didn't have keys, they and sign on the unit, and so that takes a long process, which can end up being 4 months of vacancy. You can't get that one through. So that's an anomaly we have.
So,
And then we,
just, so if I heard you right, if someone dies and they have an next of kin, you have to evict that person.
Yes.
Huh. All right.
Yeah, so we've been thinking about maybe like, is there a process where we can actually have them sign something that says if I have no next of kin, that's something in the event of my death, I relinquish possession without having to go through eviction. So I think that's in our mind frame right now to see if that's a possibility, because we're seeing it more and more. And the faster we can get the units. I mean, we have some, and some of this is at the Hearthstone Launch, where we could have those units filled a lot faster, because they have the largest wait list. They have like 200 people on their wait list. Just because of its mechanics, and you only have to pay 30% of the rent. So hopefully, but we're monitoring the budgets, because when you have vacancies, that means you can't pay for the expenditures that you budgeted for. So we're monitoring the effects that could have in the long run going forward if we don't get these units filled.
Can you check with your operations and property management teams to see what they do in this instance?
Yeah, no, I was just wondering, because I hadn't heard that at Mercy. We talk about evictions fairly frequently. So, and we have senior properties, so we deal with the same kind of death situation.
There is a legal process with someone at the court system, but our attorney that we use, Christy Bundy, has said it's hit or miss on if they'll do it.
Yeah.
And it really isn't any faster. But if there's...
Yeah, I'll definitely check and see what I can let you know.
Okay, that'd be very helpful. Because it creates such a loss for us time-wise, and then we're not only not making money, but we can't house somebody.
When you have the expense at the end, and then all along, it's crazy. There's nowhere for that to get disposed of.
So does anybody have any questions on the
Of course I do. And it really is just a clarification for me to understand, okay?
No worries.
On the one sheet, you've got 6/30/25. On the other one, on the statement, you've got 3/31. So,
It's showing 6:30.
6:30.
okay,
Okay.
because I was going to say the
That's-
numbers sort of go with the
That's
6
my
month.
bad. I updated one or the other, and they kind of trickle down when they're supposed to, so I missed that.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense with your numbers, your percentages.
Is that it? Okay.
That's my question.
Oh, it's on every page, because if I don't change the top one, it doesn't change the bottom ones.
On the balance sheet, could we have like the prior last fiscal year as a comparison?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want it on the expense side too, or just the?
No, I think on the, really we're just comparing the budget. So, we just have, that's where I see like our benchmark is the budget. But if we have comparison on the balance sheet, I think that would be helpful as well.
Okay.
And then in terms of LHDC, are they meeting regularly? Are they monitoring their?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they get the same, but they only get their properties.
Okay.
Yeah, so they get Fall River, the Hearthstone, and the Lodge, and then we walk through their processes and what they're having to spend on out of their operations.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just as a clarification, when we say that LHA consolidated, that's just more our like operational level, right?
Yeah, so LHA Consolidated report, which is all the entities that will look into their financial audit, which is their general fund. It's the Housing Choice Voucher Program. It's also the Briarwood, because we fully own that, and it's not owned by anything else.
Right.
So Briarwood, even though it's separated here, I showed you separated, so you can see where the Briarwood's hitting. It is also in the consolidated.
Okay.
And then I think that's it.
Yeah.
So it's mainly all of our, there's a local rental assistance program that's in there too, which is funded by the city, but it's also a voucher program. So, yeah.
And then so LHTC then is that just their general fund then?
They actually have some, well, actually, I'm not reading them all this year. But they did have some consolidated reports. They had like last year they had Village Place, because they actually own Village Place, so that went into their financials. They also had some, in their situation, they had tax credit entities that require them to have a corporate entity as their general partner, and I had to keep them separate, because those entities would get taxed. So with the closure of Village Place, that got rid of all of their general partner entities. So yeah, it did include more than just them, but
Gotcha.
it's now just them,
Right.
which made us super easy this year.
I mean, so really this LHDC now just owns Hearthstone and Hodgson, right?
And Fall River.
Oh, and Fall River.
Yeah, Fall River we couldn't do because there was too much related party debt that the investor, it wasn't going to be worth trying to get it transferred. So
Gotcha.
that won't get transferred until it's done with re-syndication.
So with the re-syndication then, we'll move possibly the lodge and Hearthstone over to LHA then?
Yeah, as long as we don't have to keep them as a tax exempt entity.
Right.
So those are specific entities that are required to be tax exempt, and the owner also had to be tax exempt. So LHDC is a 501(c) company, and they are also 501(c)s. So that's definitely going to have to be something in the making if you go to that. Can we have a separate entity or just roll it into LHA, which is not a 501(c). But we may just create a new entity. I know they're trying to they were looking to keep LHDC to be kind of a platform for us to have a 501(c), to have donations come in and be able to support other areas. Like right now we're doing media through LHDC, which is the transporting. So the city sends us money and we monitor and manage it. I don't think we've ever thought of what other donations we'd like to see come through or what other services we'd like to extend in that capacity.
And it might be a situation where we have to have a 501(c)(3) partner within the partnership structure. I know for Bellevue Corner and PCHA, they had to have a 501(c)(3) included in that structure. So I don't think there's any plans to disintegrate relations at all.
Yeah.
What it becomes is left over. Especially for the little company that uses.
And then the AR, I see I had more totals, and so I kind of missed your totals in March 2025. But we're looking good there. I mean, the problem is that you have these individuals, whether they have criminal activity or they ruin the unit, you add the cost, you write off the cost, you send the cost to collections, you get nothing back. We've seen that come back. I don't know if we need to change collection agencies or if it's just the nature of the game. She's saying, nope, it's the nature of the
Let out of
game.
attorney, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it
right,
just
exactly.
doesn't- I mean, you can send the collections and how we collect.
Yeah, well, and maybe
Not
it's a
hurting.
point of how much administrative work are we doing to send it to collections, so
It's not worth it.
we're not getting anything.
We just usually just write it off. Just call it a loss. It's just not worth it.
I think and the problem is a lot of ours are fee-based. So it's not so much rent-based as it is fee-based. And when it's fee-based, they can't even tie it to a credit agency, they won't do it. So unless it's rent. So you can have individuals that have enough that it won't reflect anywhere for the next line.
Yeah, but most of the time when you send somebody from a PSA property to collections, 9 times out of 10 they're going to see that. And then with the senior, if we're sending something to collections, 9 times out of 10 this may be the last place they ever go try to rent or live at, so you'll never see
with the that credit over 90 to $2,300? Is that somebody like prepaying?
Yes, we do have, in fact, so that is a situation we were actually just talking about this week. What happened with that one is something happened with their voucher. So they were paying more. The voucher agency came in and did an interim and backdated it. So they backdated it like 5 months. So we just did a correction on their ledger to update that. And now we need to reach out to the tenant and say, okay, you have this credit, do you want it all the way back, or do you want to just not pay rent for 5 months? So we usually in those situations reach out and say exactly what's happening. This wasn't a case. Sometimes you'll see prepaids so we also instituted, like, if you get money in, you need to get it in the bank the day you get it. Don't let it sit around. So you might see higher prepaids like at the end of June that are actually for July's rent. So you'll see higher prepaid balances now because we're having them get the money into the bank and get it at least posted. Because when you go to an online platform, tenants are going to look. Like, I gave you my rent 10 days ago. Why isn't it showing on the ledger? So we're trying to also get that instituted in our property managers that once you get the rent, get it in there. So the tenant can also see it credited to their account if they go online. This situation was an anomaly where he now has a huge credit because of the switch from what the subsidy should have paid versus what he should pay.
Boulder County last month had a full system failure, and it paid everyone's maximum. It paid everyone their full rent. Yeah. And so now this month they're backing it out. So all the tenants, so it didn't take out any of the tenants' contributions. So it paid full rent. So my tenants were like, woohoo! I don't know anything. No, not really. But now they're having to back it out.
Yeah.
Of next month's rent. It's been kind of a mess. Yeah.
How in the world did they do that?
I don't know, guys.
Oh, Lordy.
Yeah. So I've been getting all these notices hey, you're not gonna get your quote, you've got to cover that from the tenant.
You would have noticed that significant,
because when I saw them drop in, I'm like, that's interesting. They paid the maximum, the full rent for all.
everybody was at zero.
Everybody was at zero.
Yeah, I think you would have caught that when you went to build the EFT.
And then, the other thing I noticed too is, so the over 90 column, if you compare it from March to the July, there's a significant drop in it. Was that from cleanup, from write-offs?
It's going to be from cleanups and write-offs. It's going to be from evictions finally going through, and then, that moves to the past. So it might have been current, but now you're seeing it as past, or we've already written it off. You could also have the anomaly where we've been working with the VASH program to get people caught up. So that, I don't know what particular property was. There was a huge payment for. Yeah, there was a huge payment for Briarwood tenant.
It was the one who was actually rescinded. She got that money from the VASH. They paid $8,000. That was just.
She still had $2,000.
Yeah, she still had $2,000 left. She was supposed to pay a specific amount. So they ended up, they
So-
paid, yeah.
I don't know if it's on Briarwood that you see, but we've definitely been working with those that are behind, trying to get them voucher support. VASP. Not VASH. That's another thing. That's a.
That is a possibility. The VASP, if you're not familiar with that, is a program that was created through Boulder County's Housing Department, utilizing some of the Liberty tax funds for services that they retained. They created this VASP program that serves anyone in Boulder County with a voucher, regardless of the voucher admin. So they're serving Suites, Zinnia, LHA, BHP, and anyone who is managing vouchers, they're providing this service to them. And some of them are paying out significant amounts, both for back-owed rent and also fraud. If somebody didn't report their income properly for a time and then they were told they didn't pay $3,000 and they'll lose their voucher, we're going to the VASP team to get them that assistance. So if you know of anybody who's struggling and has
still waiting for our rep to get back with us. I have a feeling, you know, because we are reducing our vouchers and our amounts that, we're not as crucial as maybe some of the other agencies that are in, you know, a shortfall of $2 million or even higher than that. We're currently in a shortfall at about 200,000. And it changes every month. We're currently down to, at the end of July, had 399 vouchers. So that it's good that we're showing a reduction. We're doing what we need to do to get out of the shortfall. We have submitted our application to HUD to receive shortfall funding, and that's also coupled with that is that you have to be working with the shortfall team, which is basically emails. When are we going to meet every month? And I hear nothing back. I hear crickets. So, or they gave us one time and it was like none of us. It was the next day. At this time, it was too late. So. We're still waiting to hear if we're going to get shortfall funding. We did get approved last year, but ended up not needing it. And we do have to put PBD vouchers in. And that won't be until January. So we might end up being okay, depending on how our vouchers fall and how many people drop off the program. If there's more fraudulent cases that are paying their rent, we take those vouchers and take those anyway. So that's kind of our process right now.
Okay, so, update from executive director. Do you have anything?
I don't really have anything. The only thing I would just pitch is the Housing Colorado Conference is October 15th through 17th. Registration is sold out, but they do have a wait list if anyone is interested. It's a public building. It is sort of the main event in affordable housing for the state of Colorado. We'll be there. We have HCI staff at the city site. You'll be there for Mercy. LHDC board is going this year. They haven't been in several. But if you're interested in attending, the wait list link is on their website. It's housingcolorado.org. And the agenda is there as well. If you're just curious about what we talk about, if you want to plan for next year. So, that's all I really have.
Okay, anybody, I'm going to give you want a fast talk or not raising your hand?
Oh, me?
No, anybody? Okay, all right. I need a motion to adjourn. Glenn?
Second.
All right. We're adjourned. See you next month.